What up, people? It's your boy Master Trudy out here with another show review. So we got Stargirl episode 5. Just got finished watching episode 5, and I gotta say, it was a fantastic episode. Now I know that my last video on episode 4 got a little bit of negative traction, but I stand by what I said. That doesn't mean I said it was a bad episode, but I just found it to be the weakest episode of the 4. This one, in my opinion, does bounce back very well. And surprisingly, there's no battle. Uh, Much like the fourth episode, it was really not. But it's more about good old sleuthing and mystery finding and a little bit of introduction. Now, as I mentioned with the fourth episode, I didn't like the fact that we're introducing new characters to a new super team this quickly. It's not even half the season yet. But I did like what they did with Rex Tyler, who is the son of our man. But pretty much the episode is very standard. Also, there'll be spoilers in this review, so be warned. So basically, as we start off with a lot of these episodes, we get a little bit of a flashback. Rex's parents are our man and his wife are heading out with some information, I believe. They've already mailed it to Pat Dugan. Of course, this was 9 years before current day. So they mail out the information. They're preparing to flee to keep their son Rex safe, and they leave him in the care of his uncle. And as they pretty much go and try to leave, of course, the Injustice Society of America send in Solomon Grundy to take them out, and that's how they died. Even though it's said that our man survived the crash. So we fast forward, and we now see that basically Courtney's trying to still get some more recruits for the new Justice Society of America. So she goes to school and she's discussing with Yolanda about some recruits, and it's funny that they consider Artemis Crock a potential candidate, but they say she's too competitive. Meanwhile, Beth is tailing them because Beth saw in the previous episode Yolanda and Courtney fly away from the hospital when they were going to see Brainwave. And so Beth has been going around tailing them, trying to say, "Oh, let me find something out." So basically, we also flash forward to Rex. Rex is a troubled kid, but I really liked this character. They did a fantastic job. Really dug the actor's character. Surprisingly, I think I've seen his uncle in another show. Not sure. But Rex, of course, parents dead, living with an uncle that doesn't really care for him. That's taken probably pissed away the 50,000 that his parents actually left him behind, as stated in the episode, and he can't fix his dad's car because his uncle keeps messing with him. So he's naturally angry, of course. So basically, he's going around just doing wrong stuff and whatnot. So that's it. So that's pretty much him, and he's also he also goes in and you know helps and does odd jobs when he can. So funny enough, coming back from school, Pat and Courtney stop. They got some car trouble. They run into Rex. Rex looks at the car, gives some answers. Doesn't decides just to give some help, but then leaves. But then Courtney notices the hourglass is reacting to Rex, obviously stating that he's going to be the next Hour Man. She does tail him, and she tries to show him the hourglass is his, but of course it doesn't happen, and it doesn't react. Meanwhile, Beth heads to the Courtney's place, where she tries to get more information, even though she kind of does it very um how should I say, unknowingly. And after she heads into the room, she discovers Dr. Midnight's glasses, or goggles, basically, which acts as an AI system. And we get a good backstory of Dr. Midnight's powers to explain to some non-comic, knowledgeable people about who Dr. Midnight was and what his abilities were. He's a brilliant man. He was blind, but the goggles help him see. Little backstory: I have read a Dr. Midnight comic, but that was like when I was like 12. I thought it was pretty cool at the time. But anyway, it's I forgot to mention it's Halloween as well, which is kind of odd. We're in June, and we already got a Halloween episode. But that's neither here nor there. So they decide to go, and they decide that they have to find Rex so they can recruit him. And so they all go to Cindy's party. The 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 town's mean girl. And what's interesting is that Yolanda's ex is there, Henry, and basically we have that there's some issues. Basically, he's still disturbed about his father's hospitalization. Still still basically troubled, but he's also noticing that his powers are starting to manifest a bit. And we see that he decides to leave Cindy because Cindy's, well, being very unnecessarily cruel. She even went in and roasted her Yes Girl's her costume, told her to change because, like, stop it. Because she doesn't think imitation is a form of flattery. But pretty much they managed to find Rex Tyler, and they give him the hourglass, saying, "This is your father. He was our man," and the go and and it only works. And the thing only works for your DNA. The hourglass only works for DNA, and I didn't know much about Iron Man. I found it cool that the hourglass gives him super strength, or who knows what other types of abilities for just an hour. So he gets it. He tests them out slightly, and he's like, "Oh, this is cool." And he's like, "Peace," because I'm not interested in being a superhero. And I like how he's at least honest with that. So you know, they want to help him out. Courtney tells like Beth, like, "Hey, look, this is a little bit above you, and we want you to stay here." And so they try to find Rex, and Rex pretty much goes into town and wrecks his uncle's truck and just freaking bends it in half with a punch, which was much deserved. And then Beth gets information and backstory about what happened to Rex Tyler's parents. How Solomon Grundy basically killed them. Well, at this point, one of them, because we know that apparently our man survived. But clearly, before she can give that revelation to Rex, Rex goes back to the tree where the truck of his parents hit, and you see that Yolanda and Courtney come in saying that, "Hey, we know how you feel. We want you to join us." And he's like, "I feel anger all the time, and it's poisoning me. It's making me like this, and I don't know who to hate." We get a lot of spiritual. We get very spiritual. He's like saying, "Hey, how is this God's plan?" And Yolanda's like, "Hey, this wasn't God's plan. God didn't plan for your parents to die." And he's like, "Who can I blame?" But then, he's about to pretty much go ape on them because Courtney's like, "Hey, I can't let you have the hourglass while you're kind of riled up." And he's like, "Okay, come and take it from me." But then that's when Beth comes, gives him the information, and says that, "Hey, your parents were murdered." And that's when Courtney tries to make a plea to, "Hey, join us." And he's like, "Okay, no, I'll join you, but I'm not doing it for justice. I'm doing it for revenge." And so that's pretty much that. And of course, we get the side B plot of the Injustice Society. There's like these satellite parts that they plan to hijack. They put some bribes here and there, um, and of course, eliminate all loose ends and whatnot. And of course, at the end, Pat manages finds the Green Lantern lantern, and deduces that of course Courtney went to the JSA and stole all the stuff. And he's like, "Oh, dang, seriously?" That's the end at that. So let's get into the pros, the neutrals, and the cons of this episode. So my first pro is Rex Tyler. I felt that what they wanted to do with Yolanda, and don't get me wrong, I really liked Yolanda in the last episode. I think it was done better with Rex. We get realistic backstory of why he is, because I just couldn't believe that Yolanda's parents were just like that. Like, "You've disgraced us. You're grounded forever, for life. You can't leave the house." Even though clearly she left on a Halloween night. So I don't know how that happened. But that's neither here nor there. But I really liked Rex's background. He's troubled. Parents died. He's very honest. He's like saying, "Hey, I don't want to use this power for justice. I don't care about justice. I care about my justice, and that's me getting revenge for my parents' deaths. So he's like, yeah, let's do that. And he's going around doing everything like that. Um, I want to say another pro was the Injustice Society in this episode. Um, I just really liked how they planned this time around. Of course, we don't see Icicle, we don't see Dr. Ito, um, but we do see the Fiddler in a non-cameo role, even though it's mentioned that the original Fiddler was an Irish man. So maybe this was a protege or a new fiddler, or maybe the fiddler was that old and passed on his fiddle to this principal of Blue Valley High. And we also see the gambler. I really like the gambler. He's got that Moriarty side gun that he used to take down somebody, but he's also the one who like pretty much said, "Hey, I'm a pay." He paid an informant a lot of money, but of course he had no intention of paying him, so he also flipped him off a chocolate coin, which surprisingly the dude ate because the way that it looked like in the show, he was like, "Man, what's this weirdo doing, giving me a a chocolate coin? What's going on here?" Yeah, so that's a pro. The Injustice Society really shows they don't take no prisoners, they show no mercy, and they tie up the loose ends. So they're a planted bunch. They are a threat to be reckoned with. Um, I want to say that I was debating whether I'd make this a pro, but I think having no fight in this episode, was a pro in itself. Let the characters breathe. No need for some combat here and there and whatnot. Um, Another pro was like Max was less grating. I'd say he was less annoying because that's probably because Beth was there, but I'll get to her soon. And the pacing was overall good. You know, it moves, but there's always parts where there's time to breathe, and I thought that was pretty good. Okay, so I decided to put this as a neutral. Beth Chapel, Doctor Midnight. Now, Beth as a character is odd because she was so talkative and annoying, and she's always about her parents, and she was like, "I want to be friends with my parents," and her parents were like, "Yo, chill, chill, chill. We're not your friends. Chill." And you can tell that in this episode, I don't know whether she wants to have friends, but it's clear that she's kind of hurting without friends. But the annoyance is still there. That said, I think when you give her the goggles and when you give her something to do, she becomes less annoying. And it was good that this episode came out for her sake because while I preferred Rex in this episode clearly helped her flesh her out as much as you could. And yeah, she's going to be Dr. Midnight too, but the way that they've made her about to be, I'd almost rather her be like their tech person, their logistics person. I don't know, she's smart enough to maybe set up some tech cameras, kind of have a good eye through the city. I feel that maybe, she could find a way to integrate Dr. Midnight's technology into her glasses or something like that. Who knows? But I feel like she's definitely not made out to be on the field of battle because when she revealed the death of Rex's parents, she was very much freaked out, and I I don't know how she would do in battle. I really don't know, but we shall see. But she was definitely a neutral. There's things to like about her, there's things also not to like about her. But luckily for me, I think that with a couple more episodes, she should be good. Then the only con I really had was like the, and that's a nitpick really, was the whole showing of Rex's parents' death. There was a lot of green. It was like I was like, man, I don't know, man. It was like a lot of green. It was kind of messing with everything, but it was short. So yeah. So um, I'd say this is a very solid episode. I give this an 8.5 out of 10. Recommended. This show is still very solid. It's still very good. This is on the DCU, and this ain't a CW show. And it shouldn't even touch the CW. But one day I will explain why. So, thank y'all for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, comment below, hit the notifications to make sure you're notified. Once again, I do these reviews for you, the people, because I want to discuss shows like this and get your views on them. Thank y'all guys for watching, and I'll have more videos up tomorrow. Peace.